That's as good as it gets, I guess. I'm going to talk about the military and classifying information, which is something that really should have been talked about, and I hope it was talked about with the Edward Snowden event. Evidently, he saw that I was being spied on with no apparent reason other than for people to film me having sex, and which is, so it really was the army or the military who made me a porn star without my knowing, without my knowledge or consent. There should be a way to sue them, but there probably is not. So the fact that them watching me was classified without the knowledge of the president is the thing that has me most upset, because I know of things that happened behind presidents' backs without the knowledge or consent of the president, and it's it's a disaster to have that. And militaries in the world do that, and they're wrong. They're wrong to do it. They nothing. There should, if anyone tells you that the president can never see this, then know that it is illegal. Whatever they're doing is illegal. The president, according to Trump, can kill anybody he wants. And it's really the military who thinks they can kill anybody they want. And they routinely kill our citizens. The fact that the first part of our Constitution is freedom of speech, that is the thing that really keeps our government in check. If you don't have freedom of speech, how can people find out when the government is doing something illegal, like killing its own citizens? This is something we hear about in Russia, that Russia has jailed another dissident. Well, they jail them. Over here, they kill them. And I've heard, in fact, I heard an order to kill me I heard it. I've heard orders to kill me before. But very recently, just a month ago, I heard one. So why? I mean, why? Why kill me? Because I know a lot about what happens in the government, and I know some of the things that I think the president should know that are classified from the president. And my stance on that is what scares the military. Why are they scared? Because they're continuously doing things that are illegal, like spying on me. They break in and they steal from me. They take my records, electronic records, and they erase them and break my computers. That's illegal. They owe me money and time, and they've also erased memories, like my daughter's videotape of them singing, things like that are really only special to me. They decide that I shouldn't have that. And why I shouldn't have that, I don't know. But years ago, I used to advise presidents, starting with Kennedy, and and Reagan, I've advised Kennedy, Nixon, Reagan, Ford, Carter, but I'm gonna skip up to Reagan because I'm gonna call you Roy because that was your name in the green zone. So Roy was the head of a detail that was supposed to be Secret Service for President Reagan, and not on his watch. He was off that day, but President Reagan got shot. The person who shot him was the guy who I called John Alexander, who is an enemy of the state as far as I'm concerned. He's the one who killed Kennedy, tried to kill Reagan, killed Bobby Kennedy. He's an all-around subversive bad guy, and he is high enough ranking that he can classify his actions so nobody can look into it, and that's just wrong. So back to Roy. Roy was in charge of the Secret Service for Reagan, and Reagan got shot, and you could see in the tape that who shot him, and it was John Alexander, who was his boss, who was Roy's boss at the time, and was his boss right up until the day he died. And Roy, you would have taken him to task on it. You would have turned him in. And he knew that, and he started training you to be a good soldier and not question anything that happens and not question anything that he was doing. And evidently it didn't work, because when he sent you to find the weapons of mass destruction, you kept getting bad intel. And it was coming from John Alexander. So you knew that he knew that the intel was bad, and you were ready again to turn him in. There's something making a noise out there. And he didn't like that. He didn't like that. You wrote up a scathing report, and you were about to send it to all the news people who you got email addresses for, and that was intercepted by John Alexander. And to him it was unforgivable. So he was, and then fast forward another 20 years, and he brought you in on his quest to find and kill me. And I was probably, I can't think of why anybody would have wanted to kill Reagan. But I gave him that quote when he was going to go to Germany. And the quote was, "Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall." And then there was a little bit more, and then that was the end of his speech. Now that it did heighten the peace process, and it heightened our relationship with Russia. It did a lot of good things, and it did end the border security between East and West Germany. So it really did a lot of good. And but in the eyes of the mooks, and the mooks are murder, occult, organized crime syndicate. There's a huge network, a worldwide global network of people who want the apocalypse. They want Armageddon. They want to kill everybody who on the earth who is not white. And even that small token of friendship, of camaraderie to stop the wall, to stop the border checks at East and West Germany, that was something they wouldn't want because it doesn't jive with their plan. So the problem here is that the mooks are also in the military. The military has all kinds of power, especially the power of spying, the intelligence community. You don't call it spying anymore, and there'll be a day we won't need it. But without, if the president doesn't have control of the intelligence community, then what good is it? And that's why there keep being attacks on our country and other countries that slip through the intelligence net, because it's just that, it's a net. It's more like a crab net. It's a big wide net that all kinds of stuff can get through. And if you don't want to stop, an attack, you say, well, somebody dropped the ball here or somebody dropped the ball there. No. Nobody's dropping any balls. They're being told to drop the ball. They're being told not to investigate that. Do you see what I'm saying? It's got to be all on the up and up. The other problem is that there's mind control going on, and you can't mind control people into doing your dirty work, which is what happened to Roy. Now, when I met Roy in the desert in 2011, he had already been sent out to kill me a few times and was unsuccessful. But in the meantime, he got to know me because he had been surveilling me for about 2 years. I think it was somewhere between 1.5 years and 2.5 years. It was hard to pin anybody down on how long. I don't think he realized who he was surveilling. And from time to time he would say, well, why are we after her? What is she doesn't, she only is very nice to people. She helps people. She's the type of person who you want on your side. Why would you want her dead? And just that question, I think, really aggravated him, because according to him, a good military person is somebody who doesn't question orders. Now, he also, John Alexander, by the way, also ordered the murder of Barack Obama's daughter, and sent a sharpshooter and gave him cover in order to kill one of his daughters while they were in the library of the White House. That type of thing is, of course, classified, but again, you can't, just because you can't do illegal things as part of the military and then say, well, nobody can look into it because it's classified. And the Secret Service was all ready to investigate the broken glass on the library window when John Alexander put a stop to the investigation and said it was somebody, a gardener, who was out late and hit the window with a rake, which they couldn't verify on the surveillance video But because he outranked everybody, they didn't investigate it. Now they should have. And and the president should be aware that he has the power. He is the commander in chief. The president is the commander in chief of the military. So there should be nothing that goes on in the military that is beyond the president's scope. It's mind-boggling that this exists this way. Military coups happen because the military does illegal things without the president's knowledge, and they can attack their own president, and that's going to happen. It's going to happen with Trump, but it's not right. And the fact, Roy, that you can't remember any of this has me very upset. And not just for my own life, but for yours and your children, your grandchildren, people who look up to you, the people who work with you, who don't feel they can trust you because you're so changed. And I have to say that the betrayal, the out and out betrayal that you showed to me last Thanksgiving is hard for me to even face. Now the military, under Roy's supervision, came in and broke my back, used an elephant prod, which is like a cattle prod, only bigger and stronger and more voltage. Put that up my anus and hit it to my spinal cord, turned it on, and the resulting, since your spinal cord is all nerves, you get a resulting whiplash. Your whole spine moves, and violently, and it broke my back. And they also put in a homing device, a tracking device, so that I can never be free. And Roy also joined the MOOCs. So during that conversation that came after that, he said it was just us. It was just me and him. And I remembered him from, I didn't realize he was so totally different. Now, John Alexander had warned me that he was going to do this to Roy. He was going to make him a clone, call it a clone, but it's where he changed his mind through severe torture, drugs, electric shock, and even, I think he even operated on Roy's brain, froze part of it to get rid of the memories, and made him think more like a soldier. But he already was a soldier. He already was an excellent soldier. A good soldier should not want to do illegal things. You shouldn't. In no world is it okay to kill your president's child just for fun. Just to prove, according to John, just to prove that a black man can't be president. Now, a black man can be president. A black man is president. A black man was president for about 5 years at the time. It doesn't prove anything. It just proves that there are disloyal mooks in the military. that run things their own way, that want war and chaos, and they want to cause pain. And they killed President Obama's grandmother and his mother. And the military doesn't have that kind of power. Never did, never will. It's insane to think that it's okay to kill civilians because they're good people. And that's basically what it was. They didn't want his grandmother or his mother advising him, because they knew that they were good people and they would want peace and prosperity, and that's not what the mooks want. So for Roy to come into my home with wires on that sent out what I was saying, and he baited me with questions just to get names of people who they could then torture, is insane. It's insane, plain and simple. And it shouldn't be happening. And the fact that it does happen and still happens, and nobody has decided to stop it, is also insane. It has to stop, and I'm saying these things because I want a better America. People should want a better America. America used to be number one. We are below many third world countries in many, many areas. Healthcare, education, all the things that are civil liberties. You know, we used to be good at that stuff, but the mooks want to take all that away. And now that they lost John Alexander and replaced him with Roy, it'll never stop. So Roy, what you have to do is you have to search in yourself and find that guy who you used to be, the guy who wanted to turn in his boss for trying to kill Reagan. I had told Nancy that he was going to be shot. It'll be an assassination attempt, but that he wouldn't die, and in fact he wouldn't even have like any kind of a lasting problem from it. And that was all true. Nancy told me later, you know, she never would have been able to get through that. And everybody said what a rock she was, and she kept saying, oh, he'll be fine, he'll be fine, Ronnie will be fine. And she told me, you know, she knew that he would be fine because I told her that. And the reason why she asked me is because I had predicted JFK's murder. And I'm the one who tried to get John Alexander. I got him arrested. He got arrested. Then they switched him for Oswald and said he was in the book depository. When there were people on the grassy knoll who heard the shot and saw him get arrested, and they all, nobody paid attention. What happens is then the mooks can move in and halt the investigation, or give it to Earl Warren, who is not going to investigate properly. And then it all just disappears. It all goes away because it's all classified. But it shouldn't be classified. And if John Alexander has really taken all of that away from you, I'm sorry for you and for me. and for the world, because the world looks up to the United States. And the fact that you know all this stuff that happened, and you know that the people who were supposed to vet Donald Trump were just paid off and they didn't vet him, and you're helping with that. You're helping to cripple the world, to kill people in the world needlessly and violently. And there's room for us all. There's room for black people, all the colors of people in the world. And there's room in the country for all the people that want to live here. And there is really no excuse for trying to end the world that way. And even if we could get to the moon and to Mars, there's no way we could live there. And there's no trees to build houses with. There's no minerals to make iron with. There's no oxygen to weld anything. There's no oxygen to breathe. There's no soil to plant in. I mean, all the things that we need as human beings on this earth in order to survive are not on any other planet. And we know it. And it's a futile and selfish and stupid idea that we can go and populate another planet. We can't. It's impossible. It's impossible. It might be possible in 1,000 years, but certainly not in the next couple hundred years, 200 or 300 years. So to think that we can do away with the world because there'll be another one waiting for us is insane. It's insane. And I don't know, Roy, what they're telling you, why you think that you need to do this. Why do you need to inform on me and people who I know and love so that you can go and torture them? And that's what you're doing. And I don't get it. I don't get it. And if you can't understand it, but you can't stop yourself, then retire. That, step aside, go to the Philippines and live on an island with your family, and so that you can't hurt anybody else. So by trying to stop John Alexander when he tried to kill Reagan, that was a good thing. Then you were doing the right thing. You were doing the righteous thing. You were doing something that would help the world. And by trying to say that you didn't find the weapons of mass destruction because John Alexander gave you bad information, that's the right thing. Because what we should have done then is gone after him, got him to tell us where they really were, and then gone and got them there. But you did, and that's what you tried to do. And that's what makes sense, doesn't it? That's the only thing that makes sense. For you to now turn your back on all of that and want war and destruction, and it's not you. You weren't that way. You weren't that way. You were somebody I was proud of, somebody who I'm sure your wife and your kids were proud of. And you should have been proud of yourself. You have to do something that you're proud of again. And if you can't, then you should retire. You're making the world situation worse by hurting good people. Hurting and killing good people is not an answer to anything.